We've just gone over what the sequester is going to mean, what austerity means, what cuts mean, what balancing our budget and coming together and getting things done with our government. Stop bickering. Just cut the budget and cut entitlements. That is where my mind was Saturday morning as I'm driving around with Mila. And I hear this AM talk radio show, brokered, which means that they pay to be on. He's an investment guy. Very much what Helene Olin was talking about on this program yesterday. His name is, Steve Bouchey, the Bouchey Report. And it was the end of the show, and I pulled over, and I'm like, I got to call. Miles, like, what are you doing, Dad? I've got to, there's a guy on the radio who's wrong. And I've got to call him. And fortunately, these local shows post up the things. Here it is. I will tell you at what point this guy cuts me off and then hangs up on me. Let's play that clip.
Democrats don't ever feel that the Republicans have a good idea, and I don't believe that Republicans don't ever feel that Democrats have a good idea. They all have good ideas. That's where the compromise comes in. Let's go back to the phone lines. We have Sam in Hudson. Hello, Sam.
Hi. I've been listening to what you've been talking about in terms of the sequester, and essentially what you're calling for are austerity measures. And haven't we learned from Europe, and in fact the IMF has recently announced that they certainly have learned from Europe, that when you're in a time of economic anemic private growth, cutting government spending is the exact wrong thing to do. I mean, you may have a point that we have a long-term debt situation that we have to get under control, but the best way to do that is to promote growth. And if you cut government spending, as we've been doing, we've been shrinking the deficit at a record pace over the past 3 or 4 years, you're going to cause anemic growth in the private sector.
Did you just say we've been shrinking the federal deficit?
The deficit has shrunk at a rate in the past 3 years that has been unparalleled since World War II. That's simply a fact. We have
we're in the hole. We're in the hole over $12 trillion. We're
pause it. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was just about to cut me off. I continue.
Made it over the next.
Referring to, but I'm talking about the operating deficit of the government has been cut in half for 2013.
I know, Sam, but every year, if we have a deficit, doesn't that get added onto the debt because we have to borrow money because we're short?
Yes, indeed. And as we cut the deficit, we start to work towards surplus. But the fact is that over the past 4 years, we've cut over 700,000 government jobs. That is also unprecedented. In every other economic recovery we've ever had, we've increased the number of government workers because that increases demand.
Well, I guess it all depends on which economist you want to look at. I believe, Sam, that we need to...
Now, pause it.
And I'm okay.
Pause it. I am now responding to his comment about which economist you want to look at. And I am saying, well, I'm talking about the IMF. Do you want to talk about who is proposing austerity programs as growth for, but he has now muted me, and then somewhere around here he has hung up on me, and here's how he finishes. And I am yelling into my phone now as he's starting to talk about entitlements.
I feel we should probably, and I hate the thought of raising taxes anymore, but I also don't think that just the wealthy should be part of this. I feel that everybody should be part of this. And if you read this week's Barron story, it's actually an eye-opener. But regardless of what we feel about sticking it to the rich, we also need to cut some of these entitlement programs. They're called entitlement programs because some people feel they're entitled to things that other people aren't. They're getting away with something. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people taking advantage of entitlement programs that shouldn't be. And until we really reform those entitlement programs and bring spending under wraps, we're in trouble. Hey, folks, thanks for listening. See you next week.
I am, even just remembering what I felt at that time. I was yelling into the phone because I don't have the radio on, so I don't realize that he's muted me at this point. And I'm saying, who is not getting entitlements? Everyone gets entitlements. All you have to do is get over the age of 65 or be an orphan or be disabled. Everyone has access to this. I mean, here's a guy going on and espousing, what people should be doing with their money. He doesn't know even the basic facts of what he's talking about. He reads this tripe in Barron's, this investment newsletter, essentially, spouting the same fix the debt BS that he's spouting without any implications. It's without any notion of context. And this guy's talking about there are some people, they call them entitlements because some people think they're entitled to some things that other people aren't. No, they're called entitlements because people have paid into them and everyone's entitled to it.
Could you imagine if you went to a restaurant, you made an order, and they were like, I don't know why you feel entitled to that. Like, it may or may not come.
It's just,
it was a little unsportsmanlike of you to bring up the IMF thing, though. He was not ready for that, Sam.
Are you saying it's shrinking? Unbelievable.